Hey guys, it's Zach from Myshire Farm. We are back again. We're finishing up our series on homestead business. The first video we did was the top 5 decisions to make before you start a homestead. And then we went into how to grow a homestead or how to grow your business. Today we're going to talk about how to profit. So I'm going to give some tips for you as far as how to grow your business, no matter what it is, whether it's quail or not. But mainly, once that's over, we're going to mainly be talking about how to profit from quail itself, because that's what we've been successful at. We've tried many different things, and quail is what we do, so I don't want to give you information that I'm not comfortable with. But I am comfortable talking about how to profit from quail. And then we've learned some lessons along the way as far as what you can use on anything. So before I begin, make sure you go to our YouTube channel, Myshire Farm, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And Caleb Urig, thank you very much for this idea. It's taken me a while to get to it, and I did a series, and this is the last one, but this one is probably the most important out of the 3, because if you're not making money, you're losing money, and if you're losing money, then it's not going to last, right? So we're going to try to help you stay in business and last a long time. So getting into it, a couple different ideas that I can give you as far as when you've got your business going is keep really good records, and records of the smallest things. I love numbers, love them. I could look at them all day. I love graphs, I love charts. I mean, that was what I did in my previous life. So I'm always on PayPal, I'm always on YouTube, I'm always on eBay, I'm always on the website, I'm always on Google Analytics and things like that, and I'm always looking at where we're at, what we're doing, what we were last month, and things like that. So I would highly suggest, if you don't have all that stuff available to you, or you're not comfortable with it and you need to learn it, it's completely fine. But I would suggest even if you just write down everything per day. Because again, this is going to be kind of quail, but overall, you know, with quail you've got feed, and then you have to buy feeders, and then you've got water, you know, if you don't have well water, and then you've got to buy the waters, right? And then you've got cages, whether you build them or you buy them, you still got to have cages. Now we're talking about electric, even more electric if you've got an incubator. And then you've got, you know, your lights all the time that you have to replace. You've got trays. You've got just the expenses can add up, and it might be just a little bit at a time. But even if I spend $20 on a 36 roll of tape, which is what I do for shipping, I write that down because I want to know every month what I spent every penny for. So a budget and a sheet telling you what you know how much you or what you sold, then what you spent gives you the profit, right? So it's very important to keep details, even if it's something small. You know, even if you have to go to the store and buy a box of pens to write on, write it down. It can't hurt, right? So that's a big thing that we do here. So I know where every penny goes, and you can use that for any business. But we're going to mainly get into quail now. Okay, so with quail, think of it as a pie. When you make a pie, you cut it into slices and then you hand it out, right? Well, we're going to do that with quail. Okay, so one slice of the pie is going to be quail eggs. Okay, the next piece is going to be the day-old chicks. The next piece is going to be hens. And then the next one is going to be your males. There's a reason why I separated those, because technically they're both adults, but you got to treat them as different. So when we go through this list, I'm going to give you a couple ideas on how to sell them, which is probably the most important, and then some reasons behind that. Okay? So to profit from quail, you need to know what your expenses are, which we've already talked about. You're writing everything down. You're writing down how much you spent on feed for the month and what your electric bill was just for the barn, or the garage, or the basement, or wherever you keep them. Okay? And so you need to take all the expenses, and then you need to divide that by however many eggs that you get for the month. And then you'll find out how much it costs per egg. All right? So keep that in mind. But you can sell hatching eggs, which is probably going to be the most money that you can make off your eggs. Or you can sell them as eating eggs, or you can sell them as pickled eggs, which might be the most that you can make off of them, or things like that. You can go to farmers markets. You can go to, we had talked to a reptile store before that owned a couple stores here in Ohio as far as selling the eggs for like tegus and monitors and things like that. So there's many different ways that you can sell the eggs, all right? But keep in mind how much it costs per egg. So if you got someone that wants to buy eating eggs for 10 cents each, that's fine. But if your cost is over 7 or 8 cents, you're only making 2 cents an egg. Well, with all that work, it's not worth it, okay? So those are a couple of examples on how you can sell the eggs. Next step would be chicks. Now, you cannot sell the eggs, or a portion of the eggs, incubate them, and then sell them as chicks. And they typically go pretty fast, even just on Craigslist. Now, we actually don't advertise chicks. If someone contacts us and they're willing to come pick them up, then we'll do a custom hatch for them, or we'll sell them some chicks that are in the brooders or whatever. And that's fine, but I don't really advertise chicks. Mainly, I would rather feed and water them and take care of them for a couple weeks and then sell them and ship them, because we don't ship chicks. But I do know, and I can't remember where this person is to save my life, and she's going to yell at me, but I do know that we get a customer of ours that orders quite a bit of eggs every couple of months, and then they hatch out, and then they sell them all as chicks. And she's buying our eggs for 50 cents, incubating them, and she's getting, I believe last time she said she averages an 85% hatch rate on our eggs, and then sells them for $2. So she's making money, and she's barely taking care of them. So, that's one way to think about it, right? The next step would be hens. Hens are pretty easy to sell also, especially locally. Now, we have decided a long time ago that one of our niches in Coturnix quail was that we were going to ship live birds. And we've done that very successfully, very carefully, very slowly, but we've gotten pretty good at it. So you can sell the hens, but again, you need to take into account all the expenses, and that includes your time, right? So, if you put the eggs into the incubator and then, you watch them rotate and you watch them hatch and then you put them into a brooder and then you sell them. There's not a ton of time and energy spent on that. However, if you're raising them for 3 to 4 weeks or 6 weeks or even 8 weeks, you're feeding and watering them at least twice a day. You've got to make sure you're cleaning out the bedding. You've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to change the light, you've got to add the light. There's a lot of stuff to do once you start taking care of these birds. So take that into account. But typically they're pretty easy to sell. I know one of my customers typically goes to a farmer's market once every month and a half and usually takes just like 400 or 500 eggs, sells out. Then the next time she doesn't go to the farmer's market, she goes to a swap meet and takes all the eggs that she had, incubates them, and then sells all the birds. So then she's got a break from taking care of them and just selling the eggs to make a little bit money, and then makes a bunch more money when she sells the birds. So that's one way to think about it too. The last part is going to be the part that a lot of people struggle with, and we struggled with it for years, was how do I get rid of the males? And I'm actually going to do, the next video we do is going to be specifically about how to get rid of your males. But what I can tell you in this video is you've got to be creative. Okay, so the most important thing you can do as far as males go is be creative. So in the next video that I do, I'm going to give you multiple ways on how to sell. I'm going to give you a couple examples of hatching eggs and chicks and adults, but mainly we're going to be talking about how to get rid of your males, because when we started, we didn't have a problem selling the eggs, we didn't have a problem selling the chicks, and we didn't have a problem selling the hens. We had an overabundant amount of males that we couldn't get rid of. Because if they're buying the hens, let's say they buy 10 hens from you. Well, they only want 2 or 3 males. Well, you have 10 males too, so now you got 7 extra. And it just adds up and adds up and adds up. So we thought that would be a good video next for you. So we'll be doing that. But I hope that helped a little bit, and just think of it as pieces of a pie, and that you need to control each one separately. I hope you enjoy our videos, so we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.